Let's move on to the next part of this system to scale to 10K a day in ad spend, and that is going to be the structure. Now, this is going to be a very highly debated topic, and I can tell you that it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. There's 1,000 ways to skin a cat. Everybody has their own structure. And even me, after spending a couple $1 million and working with a couple of thousand clients, I have adjusted or adapted my structure over the years, especially as, for example, Meta has come out with, new targeting options and dynamic creatives, now flexible media. So I think the same stuff that you used 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago might not work today. But the underlying foundational principles work really well. So I'm just going to walk through a campaign structure that we use that works incredibly well. We use for our portfolio companies, we use for our clients. And I know that some of our clients who are also spending tens of thousands of dollars a day in spend, they're also seeing a lot of success with this as well. Okay. So what I have found that works very well is you, in essence, have two main categories of advertising campaigns. So the first is going to be testing campaigns. So I'm going to put these right here. I'm going to label them as testing. Okay. So these are testing campaigns. Now, the last part of the system here is testing and how you need to test. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit, but the short story is literally thousands of people I've spoken to, less than 5% of them test enough ad creatives on a weekly basis, okay? And most of them don't do it just because they don't know how to, right? They just kind of run the ads, and then once the numbers start going out of whack, they just sit down, they shoot more ads, they launch them, and it's not really systemic. It's just whenever you feel like it, it's ad hoc. So we'll talk about them in a second, but if you want something to happen, you need to build a system around it, so we need to incorporate it into the structure of the actual advertising campaigns. So the first two campaigns that we're going to launch are going to be testing campaigns. These are going to be what are known as ABO, which is ad set budget optimization, which means that I'm managing these budgets on the ad set level. I'm typically going to be using winning audiences. So these are going to be ones that I've known have worked in the past. So let's say, for example, let's say you're targeting men and you target that like fitness. So you target Gold's Gym. That works every single time. It's worked in the past. So we're going to test out new ad creatives and ad hooks and stuff like that. So we want to keep as many variables. We want to lower the amount of variables as possible. So if we're testing audiences and male versus female and age and also the creative, we're not going to know which thing actually led to us having a winning or a losing campaign. So ad set budget optimization, we're going to do a winning audience inside of here. And then we do all placements typically for the actual placements. I don't try to mess around with it too much. The reason why we have two of them, and I'll give credit where credit is due. I actually got this from somebody else. His name was Blake Wyatt. And he showed me that the best thing to do when you're running these is to actually create one of these with images. So I'm going to put images right here, and one of them with videos. And thinking back on it, it makes a lot of sense because the ad platforms treat images and videos very differently, right? For example, Facebook will almost always prioritize images over videos, and Instagram will almost always prioritize videos over images, or at least that's been my experience so far. So it's really important that you are creating multiple different campaigns, one for videos and one for images, and you're going to see that happen a lot of times as we're talking about this, even when we get to the scaling campaigns as well. And the other reason I really like images versus videos is because, once again, a lot of you think, the biggest issue that I have is I'm not able to get a winning ad campaign, but the biggest issue is how do I spend more on that winning ad campaign? And the more testing that you can do and the more winning ad creatives that you have, the more ad spend you'll be able to put behind it. And so by separating out between videos and images, it's not like you're trying to allocate the same ad spend between an image or a video. You're going to be able to essentially duplicate the ad spend, let's say $2,000 a day going to your winning videos and $2,000 a day going to your winning images, which means you can spend $4,000 a day. And I can't stress this enough. This is all because you're trying to spend as much money as possible, because if you spend $4,000 a day, you're going to make $12,000 a day in profit. And so that's really important if you're really trying to scale your company. So the first campaigns you're running are going to be your testing campaigns. And then these are going to break out into individual ad sets, ad set number 1, ad set number 2, ad set number 3. And depending on how you're scaling, I typically launch these at about $100 a day. And then inside each ad set, I will typically, depending on how you want to do this, you can do it one of two ways. What I typically see works really well is I just do a dynamic creative, and I'll do a couple of hooks, maybe a couple of bodies, a couple of headlines, and a couple of primary text. Now, I'm going to go more deep into the testing elements of it here in a little bit. I just want to show you the actual structure. And then we're going to do the same thing over here for videos. Instead of images, we're just going to create new ad ad sets, each that are at $100 a day, each with different dynamic creatives in there. So that's one. So that's our testing framework. And what I like to typically see is anywhere from 10% to 20%. I'm just going to put 10% of my budget is going to go to testing. So if I'm trying to spend, let's say, $10,000 a day in spend, then I am at least allocating $1,000 a day into my testing budget. The funny thing is I see people typically in one of two camps when it comes to the testing budget. Either they have zero testing budget and they spend all the money on winning ads, which is good because you obviously are making money from it, but eventually that ad fatigues. Then you go back and you're trying to like frantically try to get new ad creatives. Or there's the other camp, which is that they spend 50% of their ad budget every single day or every single month on testing. And so you're going to take your winning campaigns, let's say that are at 5x ROASs, and you're ultimately going to put them really at like maybe a 2.5x ROAS because you're spending so much on unknown creatives. You don't know if they're going to be a winner or a loser. So 10% is really good because it allows you to scale the winners while giving just enough ad spends to the new ones that you can easily find what the next winner is going to be and slip it into the winning campaign.
If you want my help installing any of these systems in your business done for you, be sure to book a call with my team down below.